Jerusalem Tanya, we're starting chapter 38 of the Tanya. V'hinei im kol hanizkar la'el yuvan hetev pasuk halacha, psak halacha, ha'arucha b'talmud poskim dehirhur lav kadibor dameh. Now we're going to reiterate, based on what was said previously, we now can understand the law in the halacha, which is from the Talmud and the codified and the halachic authorities, that thinking is not like speaking. Ve'im kara kriyat shma b'machshavato uvelibo levad b'kol kolcho v'kavanato lo yotzei yedei chovato. That if a person said the shma, he just thought it. He just thought the words of the shma. He just thought, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And he didn't actually say it with the voice coming out of his mouth or just mouthing the words silently. That the person did not fulfill his or her obligation. So, the obligation of reading the Shema is to say the Shema. And he says, it's also, if he just thought the Shema, he didn't do the mitzvah, so he'd have to go back and say it with his mouth. When I say his, I mean his or her. I've been so messed over by gender exclusive language practices from universities, so please bear with me. The law, are women required to say the Shema? That's a different subject. It's not germane to this conversation. So I'm just going to say he, and if women are in fact required to say Shema, I mean she too, and that's tough luck, feminists. So anyhow, so back to the Tanya. So if the speech is not like thought, you can't just think the Shema, you have to say the Shema. And he said if you just thought the Shema and didn't say it, you have to go back and say it. And it's also true for the grace after meals, the Birchat HaMazon, which is it's a scripturally based commandment, the first blessing in the grace after meals. And also and it's true also with other rabbinically ordained commandments like blessings and in the prayers. If somebody just said them and he didn't think about them, he fulfilled his obligation. In other words, I get up to say mincha or marav, I move my lips, I don't have to think. If I just said the words without even thinking about it, I may have been thinking about something else, I fulfilled my obligation. Okay, I don't like the feeling of it. I feel like it's a half-hearted or 0.001-hearted service of God, but God is apparently very, very lenient with us. He doesn't make it difficult for us. He said this is true except with the first verse in the Shema, when you say, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. When we say that, if you didn't think about the meaning that to accept the yoke of the Torah and the yoke of the commandments and the oneness of God, if you didn't think about meditate on the oneness of God or those other two things I mentioned, then you have to go back and say it and have the intention, according to the Tanya here. He says that's also true with the first blessing in the Amidah. Of the 18 benedictions, the first one needs to be said with intention. Now, this is the maskana of the Gemara. This is the conclusion of this. This is the bottom line of this passage in the Talmud. that if you did not pray with intention the first blessing of the Amida or the Shema, you have to go back and say it. Now, the first blessing of the Amida, the Ramah actually says, Paskins, that we don't have to, because he says we don't have so much kavanah these days. But according to the Alter Rebbe of Lubavitch, the author of the Tanya, and according to the conclusion of the sugya in the Talmud, a Jew does have to go back and say it again with kavanah if he didn't say it with kavanah. He says, but the rest of the Shema, the 3 passages of the Shema, and the rest of the prayer and the blessings, one doesn't have to think about the words he's saying, and doesn't have to. If you didn't think about the meaning, you don't have to go back and say it again, as long as you said it silently, out loud. It doesn't even matter, as long as the lips moved, lips, tongue, the whole Megillah moved. So it's the first. You can find all this in the first chapter in Brachos in the Talmud. So there in the Talmud there it says here until here we have a mitzvah that must be done with intention, and from then on it's just the mitzvah is just to read it, not to think about it, but to read it. So according to Chassidus, the Alter Rebbe of Lubavitch explains this, saying why is this so? Why could I just move my mouths and not think about it and that's enough? Says it's because the neshama doesn't need fixing, like we said in the previous chapter. There's nothing, you just got through in the end of chapter 37 talking about how the neshama is pure and the neshama that needs no fixing. The neshama is perfect as it is. It's always connected to God. The neshama needs no fixing. With regards to mitzvahs, the neshama needs no fixing. All we need to do is to draw light to the neshama in order to fix the nefesh, not the neshama. We need to draw light in order to fix the vital soul. We need to draw light to fix our vital soul, but we don't need to draw light to fix our neshama. The neshama needs no fixing. But the vital soul does need a fixing. What's the fixing? We draw light to it through prayer, through the mitzvahs. And the vital soul and the body do need a fixing. By means of, and how do we fix the light? How do we draw light to the vital soul? How do we draw light to the body? The Alter Rebbe says it's by means of the words, the letters of speech. By means of the letters of speech, of the speaking soul, of the nefesh of speaking, in the 5 stations of the mouth. All of the 22 letters of the alphabet are divided into gutturals and palatals and dental letters. There's 5 different. We could divide it into datanat, asturas, bumav, gichach, achnat. There's a way to rearrange the alphabet in terms of going from the back of the throat all the way up to the bumaf would be beit. You say a beit, you need to put our lips together, and so forth. In other words, that very action draws light of the holy words according to the Torah. That's by serving God through action draws light through speech. The action of speech draws life to the speaking nefesh, and fixes the body and fixes the vital soul. And similarly with practical mitzvahs that we do with our bodies, that the nefesh does them. The nefesh does with various. That brings a fixing to the whole body. That's basically what the Tanya says today.